Welcome to my channel, Beta 1 here. I'd like to thank everyone for joining this discussion today about an atheist's reasoning on why life begins at conception. Please take this moment to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and note that my Patreon is in the description of this video. With all the talk lately about abortion, I would like to give my view on why life begins at conception. And I want this to come from an atheist perspective. I feel like a lot of people, especially those coming from the left, tend to view pro-life arguments as religious-based. And being an atheist, I get to my pro-life stance from a non-religious, reasoned-based position. And I'd like to share that with you now. I can't help but believe that life begins at conception because my view of when life begins needs to be objective. It needs to not be based off of technology. And I'll explain what I mean there in a minute. It needs to be non-arbitrary. These are the cornerstones of my belief on when life begins. And there's a reason for this. Life is either a life or it's not. It can't be based off of the technology that we have or some arbitrary definition. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months, 9 months. It's either a life or it's not. So this is my reasoning. Let's walk this back. Let's say we have a baby that's been born. It's 1 month old. Is it okay to kill that baby? Of course not. I think we can all agree upon that. Okay. Let's take a baby that's 1 day old. Is it okay to kill that baby? Well, same reasoning. Of course not. What about a baby that's 1 day from being born? Why is that okay to kill? In my view, it's not. This baby is a viable baby that could live. So killing it, of course, is taking a human life, which seems wrong. Let's pause for a second. We've just determined that killing a baby a day before it's born is just as bad as killing it the day after it's born. If you can sign on to that, then in my view, there's no other way to look at it but killing that baby after conception is immoral. And here's how we're going to get there. If killing it 1 day before it's born is wrong, morally, because that baby could be viable, then it's only a matter of technology to get back to the moment of conception. By that I mean, if we had the technology today, 2019, when I'm making this video, if we had the technology to make a zygote viable outside of the womb. Just for a moment, imagine we could use some Star Trek type technology and beam the zygote, the 1 day old zygote, out of the mother's belly. Well, it's not in the belly yet, but we could beam it out of the mother and preserve that zygote all the way through to being a living baby 9 months later. Let's say we had that technology. Then that would be no different. Killing that zygote would be no different than killing the baby 1 day before birth. It's simply a matter of technology. If a baby 1 day before birth should not be killed, which I feel most people would agree, then it's simply a matter of technology to say that a zygote shouldn't be killed. You're thinking, and I could get this argument a lot, well, that's just a clump of cells. Well, if you view that, that's simply a matter of technology. And life, the definition of when life begins it shouldn't change based off of technology. So if we had the technology today to make a zygote, a 1 day old zygote, able to survive outside the womb, then it would be just as much of a life as is the baby that's 1 day from being born. So this is how, as an atheist, I don't need religion to get to the point of life begins at conception. It's simple. If I don't agree with killing a baby 1 day before it's born, at what point is it okay? 8 months? 7 months? 6 months? At what point is it okay to kill that life? And for me, it needs to be non-arbitrary. It can't, if not 6 months, then why at 5 months or at 4 months or at 3 months? Any point, if it's not okay to kill a day before it's born, it's not okay to kill at the moment of conception. And the reason I can say that the moment of conception is non-arbitrary is that's the first point it's got its own DNA. It's not the mother, it's not the father, it's got its own DNA. Any other point after that point is arbitrary. And the definition of when life begins should not be arbitrary, nor should it be based off of technology. And this is a really crucial point. If you can agree that killing it the day before it's born is wrong, because that baby could be viable, then it's simply a matter of viability, and that's a matter of technology. Therefore, we have to assume that as technology progresses, at one point we'll be able to preserve even a zygote outside of the womb. Therefore, that means that zygote is a life worthy of protection just as much as the 9-month baby that's about to be born. Simply put, this is how an atheist can get to the point that abortion is wrong and life begins at conception. Simply walk it back. If you're not okay with killing a baby that's born, a 1-month-old baby, and if you're not okay with killing it the day before it's born, that's the only jump you need to make. If you are not okay with killing the baby the day before it's born, then there's no logical reason that it's okay to kill it any time before then. Your definition of life, if you do say that killing, say, a 3-week-old fetus is okay, then your definition of life is both arbitrary and dependent on technology. And how a definition of when life begins is arbitrary or based off of technology seems wholly unscientific. A life is a life. It does not change depending on the technology you have and should not be an arbitrary distinction. So if you hold that to be true, that you want your definition of life to be non-technology based and non-arbitrary, the only logical conclusion to come to is that life begins at conception. Simply put, that's how an atheist can get to a pro-life stance that life begins at a conception and that abortion is morally wrong. Everyone hit that subscribe button if you like this, and go ahead and like the video. Again, Patreon is in the description. We will be making more videos. My name is Beta One. I am a black atheist conservative, and I'm going to be speaking my mind because I feel like I'm in a unique position here. There aren't too many black atheist conservatives out there, and I want to share my views. So if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, and again, Patreon is in the description. Have a good day.